Hi, ever wonder what it's like to work another profession or live in the underworld? Listen to unsuspecting riders give a 10 to 15 minute personal masterclass as I spontaneously interview them as they enter my taxi. I'm your host, Simon Rushton, and this is Taxi Chronicles. Morning. Yes, we're back with another episode, another rider. Today we have the lovely Ruby and her husband, Will. I assume they're married. I'm making assumptions. I don't want to get anybody in trouble here. But Will is, well, let's start with Ruby. Ruby's software and tax, but we will give that a slight miss right now. And we're over to Will, who's going to be dealing with wine. So we've done an interview this week already regarding someone with wine. So let's see what knowledge we have that Will can share with us. So nice to have you here today, Will and Ruby. Ruby, you can jump in any time, by the way.
But nice to be here, Simon. And just to clarify, we are husband and wife. So there's no shenanigans going on here.
Okay, that's good to hear. It would have been interesting, huh?
yeah, could have got us in trouble.
But anyway, so furthermore, tell me, what were you two like when you were in school?
I
see that smile from Ruby's face.
I mean, I definitely enjoyed school, but I think, I'll be honest, like the older I got and the less structure there was, probably the less that I tried. So I enjoyed school a lot. I think I probably could have done better academically. But I feel like I still learnt quite a lot when I was there.
Did you get the GCSEs that you needed?
Yeah, I got GCSEs I needed. I didn't get particularly good A-levels, but I still got into the university that I needed to. So in that respect, I was okay.
And yourself, Ruby?
Yeah, I enjoyed school. I ended up going to an all-girls school. It was quite bitchy, to be honest, but it was fun. It was really, really good to kind of experience some of that kind of different characters at an early age. And then I ended up bizarrely kind of being head girl of a C of E school, but I'm Asian background, so that was really weird because that's not my religion, so it was really interesting. So interesting that I didn't want to do it initially, and then I was kind of encouraged to take on the role. And that was really fun, and I think that I made a difference there in that I made a few changes and tried to make my mark that are still there at the same school. So it was really good. And then went on to the university I wanted, the career I wanted. So really good foundation for the future, really.
So you wanted to do a career in tax?
Now I'm a chartered accountant, ended up specialising in tax, Big Four for 18 years, got a bit bored, and then moved to the glamorous world of tax technology, where I've been for 3 years now. So yeah.
Got a quick question I'm going to throw in before I jump to Will. With this Uber situation, I'm not sure if you're familiar about it, where we're called classed as workers.
Right.
Does that change? Is there a big difference between workers and self-employed?
Oh my goodness, what a tax question. So I specialise in like indirect taxes, like sales tax, but I would say like from the question you've asked, yeah, it's down to whether you're employed or you're self-employed. And there are different badges of trade that would apply. So it's going back many years to kind of training that I had. But there are implications from a tax perspective that I won't want to kind of talk about now because I'd probably get it wrong because it's not kind of my specialism right now. But yes, there are differences.
Okay,
and I will stop there, right? Because otherwise I'm going to get it wrong and that's not good for anybody, especially not you, Simon.
Oh, the listeners. But okay then, Will.
Okay.
And Ruby, when was it that you decided that you're destined for the career you're in?
So basically, when I was younger, all I really wanted to do was snowboard.
Okay.
And so when I was still at uni, I went over to New Zealand and I did a snowboard instructor's course. Mm-hmm. In my head, my immediate future was going to be going Northern Hemisphere, Southern Hemisphere winters, teaching snowboarding, having a bit of fun, and that was it. And I think probably my mum and dad weren't massively excited about that as a career option, having invested a lot of time and effort in me. And so my sister took me to a place called Vinopolis, which has been closed for a few years now. It used to be in London Bridge, and it was kind of like an interactive wine museum.
Oh, I know that.
Yeah, I don't know if you
Next
remember
to the
that.
Nando's and the Working Man.
Yeah, exactly.
Is that
Yeah,
closed still?
yeah, it's closed down now. Yeah,
Wine tasting place.
yeah. So
Because the lady mentioned that on the last interview. Go on.
Uh-huh. Yeah, so basically, like, you go around and it's like you sort of travel around the world of wine, tasting different wines, learning a bit about it. And what I kind of noticed was there's a lot of countries in the world that make wine that also have mountains. So I was like, surely there's something I can do here where I can be a bit of a career, but also still indulge in my passion. And so that was the big aim. So I went and did this course. There's an educational body called the Wine and Spirit Education Trust, and they have professional qualifications. And this is going back to 2005, so it's a long time ago now. You could go straight into this course. Level 3 was called the Advanced Certificate. And I signed on with no idea what it was about. I did a 5-day course and I somehow managed to pass this exam and get this qualification. And then I'd always, like, after I graduated from uni, I'd always planned to go over to Japan and do a ski season there for 6 months. Mm-hmm. So I went over there and I injured my back. Like, I aggravated an injury that had been sort of brewing for a while. I've got prolapsed discs in my lower back. And so I came back from this season in Japan.
How did you injure yourself?
Well, initially I was playing rugby when I was a kid, when I was a teenager. It was like wear and tear anyway, but so rugby exacerbated it, and then snowboarding it made it worse and worse. And it just sort of has deteriorated progressively over the last sort of 15 years. I've had a few epidurals and a lot of physio and stuff like that. But it kind of happened again. It happened like early on in Japan, and so I came home, sort of tail between my legs. We're like not really going to have this life that I envisaged in my 20s, where I'd be going around all these different countries and snowboarding loads.
I was like, pull-ups. Sorry, you do pull-ups?
Yeah, I do. I try. I'm not very good at them.
Do you pull-ups and lift up your knees and all of that?
I try and I swim a lot now, and try and do core exercises. I've been told for years and years I should be doing loads of Pilates, and I occasionally try and do that, but it comes and goes. But I got back from that, sort of tail between my legs, moved back in with my mum and dad, which was a bit of a culture shock, and I got a job in a wine bar. Okay. And I had this qualification anyway.
What did your parents want you to be?
I don't know. There's never...
And what's your background? Because from why I asked that is because you seem to speak about what your parents expect of you.
Right.
In many different cultures, sometimes just do what you want to do, get out there, and you're speaking like, well, my parents want this, so you want to please them, kind of thing.
So my family were from South Wales, so that's my culture, I guess.
Interesting.
Yeah, but so I think they just wanted me to have to find something that I could carve out a career in, I guess.
All right.
That's probably it. So yeah.
So does Will choose the right wines for the right meals?
Yeah, he does, absolutely. But he's not a ponce about it, to be fair. And I like that. No, I really like that, because when you think about people that work in wine, without being rude, I think a lot of people think of people that are quite stuffy about it, but he's really not. And when we're out with friends, you almost have to stuff the menu on him, because he's like, he's letting other people choose, but he'll choose if people want him to. So yeah, there's an abundance of wine in our house. I don't tend to choose it. If I'm on my own, I'll go to M&S and pick something that I think is pretty decent for about a tenner, but it's not good enough for Will. He'll probably, if he can, he likes to get stuff from Wine Society or Majestic as a minimum, but normally from nice places that I don't know about. But he's not stuffy with it. It's just sometimes very affordable. But when we do drink wine, it tends to be more than, what you'd pay in Tesco or Sainsbury's. It's like, even everyday drinking is not just stuff off the shelf. It's kind of nicely picked, which is good for me because I don't have to think about it. It's just there.
Have you given Will a cap on how much he can spend on wine?
I don't, I wouldn't dream of it. Just like he wouldn't dream of a cap on me for, I don't know, I'm not going to talk about spending money on tax because that's ridiculous, but clothes, perhaps.
Okay.
No caps needed.
What's the most expensive bottle of wine you bought, Will?
Right, it's a really funny question because when I started dating Will, I met Will underneath the Deloitte & Touche offices in central London, right? So one of the big four organisations, accountancy organisations, and it was after May bank holiday weekend, and I was young and tired because I've been partying all weekend, and mates were like, let's go to this Argentine wine tasting. And I was like, I'm tired, I don't really fancy it. And they're like, come on. So I'm going to pop in. It's a Tuesday night after May bank holiday weekend, right? I went in and Will's there, and I was like, he looks all right. And anyway, the rest is history. But let's just fast forward about a few weeks, because he was mainly in the south of France doing wine stuff. So a few weeks later, we had a date and he cooked for me. And I had this dilemma, like, what do I buy him for wine? What do you buy someone that works in wine? So I phoned a friend. He's an accountancy friend. His name is Ross Hay. I'm going to say that because maybe I'll get him to listen to this. But he lives in Switzerland now. So Ross, who's also in tax, by the way, because we're cool. Because you can be cool and work in tax.
Okay, well,
Ross.
That's debatable.
So Ross owns a vineyard, or he did, on the south of England. And he's like, south coast of England. And I happened to be best man for his wedding, but that's a whole other story. But anyway, Ross is like, give me like the menu for like the local shop, or the list, the shopping list. So we did, and it was that French shop that you get, Nicolas, right? And they wrap the wine beautifully in a box, and they present it so beautifully. Anyway, Nicolas, and I said, what wine should I buy?
Wait a minute.
Oh, we don't know if we're going the wrong way. Give us a minute, everyone. It's all good.
Yeah.
So we, I went in this wine shop, and he told me what wine to buy. It was £20, which at retail price, I'm like, bloody hell, that's a lot of money. This is like 2009. That's like, quite a long time ago. £20 not in a bar for me is a lot of money on a bottle of wine. But apparently, the good thing about this wine that it was a unique blend of 3 different grapes, and a bit unusual. That's all I can say about it, because I can't remember what the rest of the story was about it. But when I presented it to Will, he gave me this whole little story to give about why this was a special wine. Okay. And I was meant to present it to Will on our first date when he cooked for me and make out that was really special. But I literally was like, I bought this wine because my friend told me to buy it because he owns a vineyard, and this is why it's special. But I think it was good, if memory serves me correctly. But it was £20. So that's the most I've spent in a shop on a bottle of wine. I mean, obviously in a bar or a restaurant or a pub, you spend a lot more. But £20 in a shop to me was a lot, 12, 13 years ago. Probably still would be now, if I'm honest.
Okay, Will,
£20.
What's the most expensive bottle of wine you bought?
That's a tough one, because there's wine that I bought that's purely as an investment,
Right.
that I would never open, that would be...
Don't you have to keep that at the right temperature?
Yeah, so you need to keep it at a temperature. It needs to be consistent as well, so wine doesn't like spikes up and down in temperature as well. But I store it all in a bonded warehouse, so it's all professionally stored.
Oh, so you're one of those as well?
Yeah,
One of those people. Nice, I met a street guy, he used to be a drug dealer.
Right.
He decided he got into wine, some guy, it's a bit like a mentor, somebody he bumped into, and then he ended up, he said the first thing he went to do is change the way he speaks, so he can speak more posh on the phone, and he ended up getting into the wine business, and he's made so much money, he bought a flat in 1 year.
Wow.
So he's doing good. But that's one of the earlier episodes. But back to you, Will.
Okay.
So how much?
Avoiding the question.
Like for investment purposes, probably like £2,000 a bottle.
A bottle. Did you know this, Ruby?
Yeah, I kind of did.
No. Did you
Not
hear,
gonna lie.
Did you hear how he said per bottle? So how many did you buy? 6 at a time? Half a dozen?
Yeah, I mean that would be 6 packs. Yeah.
I love the way he's... Are you sure he's not the accountant? He's just chopping down the numbers. Yes.
But this is the sort of stuff where it's
12 grand, yeah.
Yeah.
12 grand on wine.
But I mean that is using the knowledge that I have, but so making an educated decision on an investment is that's not anything that I would open at home.
Yeah, I understand. What's the most preferred wine that you have, that you like to have?
I mean, Napa Valley Cabernet Sauvignon, without a doubt.
Where's that from?
So California.
California. Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't know they were. I never thought of them there because I always think of French, Italian,
Yeah.
South Africa.
That's so interesting that you say that.
So
I don't drink, by the way, so there's quite a high element of ignorance coming out my mouth here.
No, I mean you're spot on. Like obviously, like France, probably the most famous wine producing country in the world. Produces, you know, some of the greatest wines ever made have come from France. They have that history and that heritage. You know, especially Bordeaux, Burgundy, Champagne, sort of Rhone Valley. But yeah, I mean, I love California as a place. Like I fell in love with it as a teenager when I went over there on holidays. And Napa Valley is very, very, very special. It's a very small wine producing region, but they make some incredible, particularly Cabernet Sauvignon. So, yeah.
What would you say you've learnt from being in the wine business and the tax business for yourself, Ruby, that you wish you knew when you had started?
Ooh.
Well, that's a great question. I think probably like just the power and value of like human interactions in and kind of in the context of like business. So, I would say that I'm not the most gregarious gentleman in an environment, but there's so much value in talking to people, and I think it's getting lost these days. And probably if I'd had a chat, a bit of a nudge to myself when I was younger, I'd be like, talk to as many people as you can, especially in person, because there's so much value in that.
Ruby?
That's a hard one. If I was talking to myself when I was significantly younger, I don't know. I think it's about, sorry, this is very taxi, so I apologise for that. It's about getting it right, I guess, and making sure that your compliance is spot on and make sure the calculations are right as opposed to the planning. And I guess I got that quite a few years ago, actually. Like in 2009, I kind of moved from tax planning to tax compliance. And I think that's where the future is. It's about technology, it's about getting it right. And I think a lot of businesses are moving that way. But get the human element and the ability to work with someone who gets it and is not, you know, really boring and dull with it, I think is what keeps it exciting. So that's what I'd say. Sorry, you can't make tax that exciting, but I tried.
Okay, so if you could do any job in the world,
Ooh.
and money wasn't an option, yeah, what would you do?
That's hard.
No, it's hard. Like, probably something outdoors, I think, in the fresh air. Honestly, I think being like a livestock farmer or something like that would be amazing.
I take it we've got no vegans in the car.
There's definitely no vegans in this part of the car. No, I don't know. I can't speak for you, Simon.
I ain't no vegan, man. No, I've done interviews with vegans, but I'm not a vegan. But, okay, what about you then, Ruby?
I think the view on this changes, right? Different ages, different times in your life. Like with children right now, I think I'd like to run a cafe or something. Like, not that I'm a good cook or something, but I think if you serve a bit of wine on the side, which we can get Will to help with, bake a few things, which we can get Will to help with, because he's better in the kitchen than me. Basically, it's all about Will. I'll do the numbers and I'll deal with the people. Will can do the cooking and sort out the wine. That's what I think. So that's what I'd do if I could.
That's a very professional answer.
It is a very professional answer. I'm sorry, guys.
No, don't worry.
That's just where I am right now in my life.
You two have children?
Yeah, we've got 2 children, yeah.
Really?
Yes. I know, we look fresh-faced.
Yeah, you're just happy young couple in that sense. That's what I saw. But
You think?
You're doing something right.
Yeah, we're actually going to get them right now. That's where you're taking us, Simon.
Okay.
Right, they're at someone's house. They've gone for a play date.
Oh, so that's the secret.
That's the secret.
Ship 'em out.
Ship them out, but we've got Prosecco and beer waiting. Not only have they got children, they've got drinks waiting for us. It's perfect.
Okay, that's good. The reason why I asked that question is because they say the true success is doing something you love and getting paid for it. So,
Ooh.
when I asked that question, it's in relation to some people say they carry on doing what they're doing now because they're really happy with what they do. Do you see? Do you see that?
Yeah, the thing is though, right? This is the thing. Is that I feel like there's this kind of ideal that, you know, you find something you love, and if you can make money out of it, you're living the dream, right? But I love wine, and I make money from wine, but I also have to run a business. So it isn't just about the fact that I have passion for the product that I sell, because I have everything that goes with running a business. And there's a lot of things when you run a business that aren't fun, but you have to do it. So I feel like that kind of message is, yeah, I mean, look, would I encourage people to start businesses selling stuff they love, or that element of it? 100%. But you have to remember that there is always that graft as well, and there are always going to be things that you don't like. So it's finding that balance, isn't it? But yeah.
I see where you two match.
Do you? Because we're quite different.
No, it's not that. The way you answer the questions is very exact, very professional, very straight. And no matter how I ask some little antagonising questions, you just
keep it balanced.
Yeah, just, you know, it's like a boxer. You bob and weave and jab back.
Take your opportunity.
So my answer to that question is, I'd love to be a model or a sports athlete or whatever, or someone that gets makes a lot of money out of something that they've managed to enjoy and get a lot of pleasure out of. But I mean, I'm not saying I don't get pleasure out of tax, but I guess the key thing is, are you having fun? And if you're not, you know, you spend far too much time working to not have fun. So. And I couldn't deal with waking up every day and not enjoying what I'm doing. So I do enjoy it, even though to a lot of people it would be boring. And if I didn't enjoy it, then I'd stop. So.
I understand. Last question. You've been great guests. What's the impact you want to have in the world?
Oh, leave it in a better place than when I joined it. I'm not going to tell you when I joined it, but
okay.
I'd like to think that you're doing things that make a difference,
I can see
big or little.
Will's mind just ticking over.
Yeah, I mean, it's
that's a big question, man.
Knockout answer.
It is a big question, and I thought a lot about this. When you see people that leave these like legacies, you know, like climbing mountains and stuff like that, it's amazing. But for me, it's I definitely agree with what Ruby said about trying to leave it in a better place. And I think right now we're at this crossroads, particularly in terms of climate and trying to live, you know, climate change and trying to live better existence in that respect. But you know, ultimately what my legacy is my children and the two of them and what they grow and become and achieve, and I think that my impact on life is going to be what they do, really.
That's a strong answer.
Okay then.
And he's obsessed with recycling, by the way.
Thanks a lot for that interview. Much appreciated.
Awesome. Thank you very much.
And we wish you well. We hope you liked that interview. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe to get the latest daily episode. Ever considered investing in the continent with the fastest growing economy and population on Earth? The same continent that holds 30% of the world's known natural resources? Then listen to our sister podcast, Africa Investor Stories, where you will hear real investors with real stories from around the world share their experience of investing in Africa. We post Monday and Thursday at 10 a.m.